Hi, my name is Bridget Yole, and this is my original contribution for American College of Education, my Capstone project. This project will be a method in the form of a webinar. So hold tight, here we go. In this webinar, we're going to talk about building strong foundations, the importance of vocabulary in early childhood education. The gap in vocabulary right now is such a hot topic in the world of education, but this webinar is going to show you some ways that you can help bridge that gap in your classroom. So here we go. I would like to start this webinar with a quote. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. I want all of us educators to stop for just a moment and ponder that statement. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. If we were all doing this as teachers, I feel like the world would be a different place. Okay, here we go. The early years of a child are some of the most formative ones of their life. Many children from disadvantaged homes begin school with a language gap. By the time the child is 3, the gap is approximately 600 words. And as a child starts kindergarten at the age of 5, that gap just continues to grow. And we know as educators, our job is to try and help bridge that gap so children will be successful readers and writers. Here we go, vocabulary. Vocabulary is the foundation for reading comprehension. Children need vocabulary to understand the meaning of words to make sense of what they read. Limited vocabulary hinders their comprehension and their fluency. I'm going to come down here and read this little quote. Vocabulary is essential for reading comprehension. Readers cannot fully understand a text without knowing the meanings of most of the words. As children progress to more advanced reading materials, they need to learn the meanings of new words that are not part of their spoken vocabulary. So let's go on to show. I'm going to go on and show you some of the biggest problems that this lack of vocabulary has and impacts children. The problem. Children, especially those from disadvantaged homes, have a gap in their vocabulary and their communication skills. Limited vocabulary creates problems with comprehension. It hinders their understanding. It creates a gap at an early age, and it's very difficult to catch those kids up. So, we're going to go and I'm going to show you 3 different studies of what you can do to help bridge that gap with those kids that have a disadvantage with their vocabulary. Okay, we're going to start off by talking about a study. And you can find all of the details of this study on my last slide. It will show you all of the resources that you can look up online and read the whole study for yourself. But here is the gist of the study. In this study, it helps teachers learn to increase vocabulary in the classroom. Participants, 5 preschool teachers in Belgium, all in the schools serving socioeconomically disadvantaged communities. The study evaluated an individualized 12-week professional development program created by speech pathologists aimed at increasing preschool teachers' use of vocabulary support strategies in the lower socioeconomic status setting. So let's find out what they say works to help increase that vocabulary in the classroom. Okay, here's the study, and this is what they suggest to boost vocabulary. Definitions. Explain new words clearly with examples or synonyms. Inferential questions. Ask why questions or how questions to encourage that deeper level thinking. relating. Have kids connect to things that they already know, their prior experiences and their prior knowledge. That helps things stick in kids' minds when you connect things back to things that they already know. Sentence completion. Let children finish your sentences with the target words that you are encouraging them to learn. And per this study, all of these things have proven to help boost vocabulary in the classroom. How? Now, I know that some of this is foreign to some of you, and this is how you can implement these strategies in your classroom. How to implement it. Individualized training works best. Going online, finding webinars like this one will help you with the strategies. Every teacher is like a child. You're going to learn at a different pace. Everybody's brain is different. So some teachers may pick this up quickly and some teachers may take a little longer, but just trying to educate yourself is half the battle. Use book reading as a starting point. It's natural, rich context for vocabulary building. Include information, modeling, supervised practice, feedback for each strategy, key messages for teachers. Start with one or two of these strategies and practice them often during your book reading. Then intentionally practice those same exact strategies in other activities like in centers, outdoor play, snack time. It will help you that will help these things stick in everyday teaching. Okay, we're going to go on to a second study on how to increase vocabulary in the classroom. This is a study that was combined data from 23 studies with over 77,000 children in preschool and kindergarten. Very studied study. Researchers looked at how three parts of teacher and child interactions affect young children's vocabulary. So here are the three components that they looked at. Emotional support, how caring and responsive the teacher is. Classroom organization, how well the class is managed, and so how well the class is managed so children can focus. And instructional support, how well the teacher builds thinking and language skills. Okay, let's see how to implement these things. Okay, here we go. Emotional support. Warm, caring relationships help children feel safe and ready to learn. Predictable routines and empathy allow children to focus on language activities. Here is a tip. Greet each of your children in the morning by their name, use encouraging words, and respond to their interests during their playtime or center time in the classroom. Number 2, organization. Classroom organization. Well-structured classrooms keep children engaged and on task, giving more time for language learning. Those smooth transitions and clear expectations that will reduce distractions. And here is a tip, and we all know this, using routines and visual schedules so children can focus more on talking and listening. And that does say talking because we do want our children to talk. We don't want to just talk at them all day long. We want them to use their voices too. And the last and most important, this study has found that the instructional support is the biggest vocabulary boost. I have found this to be true in my classroom as well. Directly targets thinking and language skills. Asking open-ended questions, introducing new words, and connecting ideas all contribute to the growing receptive vocabulary. During story time, pause to explain new words, connect them to the children's experiences, and encourage them to use words in conversation. Now we're about to go into the next slide, which is probably my favorite and is very encouraging and something that's very useful for in your classroom to increase vocabulary. Okay, here we go. How to implement these things. Practical classroom ideas. Daily talk time. Build 10 to 15 minutes a day for guided conversation. That could be through your morning meeting, through Think, Pair, Share. I use both of these in my classroom and they work phenomenal. Word walls. Display and revisit new vocabulary words with pictures. Interactive read alouds. One of my favorite things, and I have found has boosted vocabulary tremendously in my classroom. In fact, the word wall and the interactive read alouds go hand in hand because we put our vocabulary words from our interactive read alouds up on a board in my classroom, and we refer back to them all year long. So choose your books wisely. Choose them with rich language, ask predictive questions, and act out some of those words. Those things will help boost your children's vocabulary. Small group play. Use thematic play centers, a grocery store, things like that to introduce and practice those topic specific words that maybe you have been talking about in interactive read aloud that you've put on your word wall. Everything goes hand in hand. In this second study, the big takeaway is think about your warmth as a teacher, kindness. I know we can all get frustrated in our classroom, but being kind and warm to your students, keeping yourself organized, keep your classroom organized, and teaching strategies that help your children's vocabulary grow. But direct, intentional language teaching makes the biggest impact. Again, direct, intentional language teaching makes the biggest impact. If you don't take anything away from this webinar, I want you to take that away from the webinar. Okay, study number 3. Again, how to increase vocabulary. This study investigates the effects of an interactive book reading intervention on first grade expressive target vocabulary growth, finding significant positive effects for both researcher imposed and teacher selected target words. This study on how to increase your vocabulary suggests interactive book reading, or, in my words, interactive read alouds. The study emphasizes that interactive book reading, or interactive read alouds, is a valuable tool for promoting vocabulary growth in your young learners, especially first graders and preschoolers. And we all know that first graders and preschoolers were studied here, but we know that kindergartners and second graders in that early childhood learning curve, obviously it affects them too, using these picture books. So picture books provide rich early literacy exposure and help introduce new language. Effective IBR intervention should consider both students' needs and the characteristics of target words, with special adjustments made for non-native children to maximize benefits. So you also need to consider those kiddos in your classroom that may not speak the language. You might have to adjust your lesson a little bit to help them. Study 3, how to increase the vocabulary. By using the interactive book reading, this will boost vocabulary in your preschoolers, first graders, obviously second and third graders as well. Picture books offer rich early language exposure. They tailor activities to student needs and target words, and you need to make some adjustments for non-native speakers to maximize the benefit of this interactive read aloud. In conclusion, these are some of the problems that we find with vocabulary. Vocabulary is the foundation for reading comprehension. Limited vocabulary can hinder reading comprehension and fluency, and some children from disadvantaged homes have a lower vocabulary coming into school. So, in other words, this webinar talks about how we are going to bridge that gap to help those kids so they are not at a disadvantage anymore. What works? These are the things that worked according to the 3 studies researched. These are research helpers for increasing vocabulary. Definitions, explaining words. I have a definition word wall in my classroom. We have pictures on it. Inferential questions, creating those connections, those prior experiences, and bringing them up in those students' knowledge or in their brains. Using those target words, interactive reading, organization is a big one. Daily talk time, word walls, and small group play. All of these things have been proven to help increase vocabulary in the classroom. So I want to thank you for listening to my webinar. It's truly been a delight to research all of this information about vocabulary. I myself have implemented several of these into my classroom already and have found great success with them. So I would encourage you to try to implement some of these into your classroom, and please don't get discouraged. New things are difficult sometimes, but just start to try them and you will be surprised what you will find. And here are all of my references that I referenced throughout this webinar. These are all of the studies that I referenced and a few other ones that I have taken information from. So feel more than welcome to check out these. You can read the reports a little bit more in depth, and happy teaching.